Ah, yes, welcome once again to JMac Investing, the place where we bring you investing news, information about SPACs. SPACs, you say? You don't know what they are? Well, good. You picked the right day. Today we're going to cover the birds and the bees of SPACs. So hold tight. Make sure you're mature enough to be around for this conversation. If you need to ask mommy or daddy, go ahead and handle that while the intro plays. Let's get right into it. All right, I hope everyone is doing well and everyone had a fantastic entrance to this new year of 2021. We can hopefully put the pandemic behind us, move forward with our lives, made some resolutions, setting some goals, getting some things in order, all of those things. Okay, so today I want to take a look at, I just want to we're going to compare how SPACs are born to the one of the most magnificent things that in all of nature, of how a butterfly goes through metamorphosis to go from a caterpillar to the cocoon to the dormant phase to becoming a beautiful, colorful butterfly, hopefully. And that's the same case here with SPACs. Not all turn out to be beautiful butterflies, but the ones we're trying to find go through this process and become beautiful butterflies. Before we do jump into that, though, I did want to just kind of touch on real quick something that occurred. I got approached by a journalist from the Wall Street Journal, which I thought was a joke at first. I got the email. I showed my wife. I was like, check this out. This guy says he wants to interview me about SPACs. And I was for sure it was going to be some scam or something, but because as a YouTuber, the bigger your channel grows, the more you get emails from all kinds of different places, all kinds of different people trying to reach out to collab with you, or they want to do a partnership with you, or get you to sponsor this or that or whatever. But this was just straight up Wall Street Journal. WSJ was the title of the email, and so anyway, I picked up the phone, called the guy. And he was a little bit surprised to hear me say, "Yeah, this is Jason from JMac Investing." And at any rate, we talked through just kind of the SPAC market, just like I'll be talking to someone else about it, how it was, how it's evolved, and how some of these companies are just getting just crazy. Some of these pre-revenue companies, and we talked about it. And then he's pressing on me on how I got the interviews that I've gotten, and I have a whole system about how I go about approaching that. I'm not going to share it with everyone, so everyone can go out and kind of take my first mover advantage on that. But there is some procedures I set in place and some things I go through to get these interviews right. But essentially, what I told him, I was like, what I do lay out, I have a script that I lay out, that I send them, and I tell them that I'm not gonna be like the mainstream media, which Wall Street Journal is obviously, and I say, I'm not gonna be trying to trip you up, or there won't be gotcha questions, so it won't necessarily be hard hitting. I will ask the pertinent questions and the things that some people are questioning about the company. But that's not going to be the goal of my interview like the mainstream media. So that is kind of how I worded it. Well, you know how he took that. If we scroll down, you can see I won't read it, and he did kind of paint it out. It's funny how he only picked up on Fisker, Nikola Motors, Hyliion, the highly speculative ones that are pre-revenue. They have a long way to prove, a lot to prove, right? Not some of these there's some great companies coming via SPAC right now. Across the board, there's really good companies that aren't pre-revenue. They're revenue generating, fast growth companies with not really too much concerns. But of course, like I said, he cherry picked all of the pre-revenue ones, and then he says, Mr. McDonald viewers have grown. He has more than 26,000 followers, and he has interviewed another CEO going public through a SPAC. He hopes for others. And then he quotes me as saying that I tell them that I say, every halfway interesting SPAC, I'm reaching out to these companies, Mr. McDonald said. He said he's offering companies the chance to keep stoking interest with individual investors. And then I say, in quotes, it's going to be an interview, but it's not hard hitting, he says. There's my infamous quotes in the Wall Street Journal. But you know what? At the end of the day, any publicity is good publicity, because out of that, I really have had a couple emails of a couple people, random out of the blue again, with some potential partnerships that that read the actual piece. Then they went and sought me out and got my email either through my website, jmacinvesting.com, or on Twitter, which you can find me on all social media at JMac So at any rate, any publicity is good publicity. So I appreciate them taking the time out. I'll link that article down in the description below. You can check it out yourself. Let's go ahead and now jump into how SPACs are born. We're going to go, and this is a little bit overdue. It's going to be more of a teaching video, an educational video on how SPACs come from their infancy, from the actual blank check company, which IPOs on an exchange, to merging with one another and becoming the actual new target company that's then publicly traded. So we're going to check that out. So how it all begins is the SPAC IPOs, and then the SPAC goes out and begins to seek a target. They have up to 2 years in most cases to go out and find their target. And once they do, then a definitive agreement is signed with the target company. It's inked and penned, and they have done their due diligence, and they have come up with the evaluation of what they think is fair for that company, and the company agrees that that's a fair evaluation, and they're willing to sign on the dotted line and allow this SPAC company to work with them and bring them public and merge. And once that occurs, it kicks off, and there's a preliminary 14A or S4, and I'm actually not sure if it's depending on what exchange that you're going to come. Like if you're coming through the New York Stock Exchange, then is it the Prim 14A, and then if you're coming onto the New York or the Nasdaq, then you would use the S4. I think that's the case, but I actually haven't verified that. But it's like this: it's going to be one or the other. You're gonna stay on one path or the other path. So, and like I said, so it'll be a preliminary 14A, and that's a proxy statement which remains subject to review by the SEC, filed in connection with the merger. So that kicks it off and says, you know what, we got a target, and here's some initial details surrounding the deal. Then the next filing that you will see somewhere down the line is a PRER 14A or a S4A, which stands for amended. So as they're going through and working out the details, when there's revisions of the original proposals, then these will get filed, and these can be filed subsequent versions of these. These can be filed multiple times. So that's why it gets kind of tricky. Some people, see like the first PRER 14A, and they get all super excited as if the merger is going to occur pretty quickly. I've seen this one be filed like 10 times before. So a lot of times this doesn't mean that much. So after they went through the revisions of either the preliminary filing of PRER 14A or S4 amended, then it will move to the next phase, the filing that everyone should anticipate. And this one is the one that I think a lot of people get wrong, because once this occurs, this sets the date for the merger vote. So the final filing, where this makes it basically we're here, essentially we just got to get through the vote. A successful vote is the definitive proxy statement or the final proxy statement, DEFM 14A, or if you're going to the other pipeline, it's the 424B3 filing. So once we see one of those filings, then that's going to have the date in the actual filing, where all the other ones, the dates were blanked out. In this filing, the DEFM 14A or 424B3, it says the date and time and has typically the link to join via virtual as a shareholder. You can join the meeting by phone or virtual. So this is where it gets exciting. The butterfly is ready to begin to spread his wings and begins to move around and starts cracking the shell. And then there's the merger vote that takes place. It's a special meeting to vote to approve or disapprove the merger of the target company and the SPAC. And this one, we've seen this one from time to time take a couple different votes, whereas we've seen it where they didn't get enough votes and they had to go back and re-vote again. Hyliion had this actually happen with one of the, usually the business combination agreement has a bunch of bullet points in it, and so there's some that are very pertinent, and then some that are not necessarily. You could have some voted on and they're voted against, but the business combination or the merger would still occur, right? So, but I've seen a few different scenarios here. End of the day, if the vote occurs and it is approved, then you're home sailing, and usually within 2 to 3 days, the ticker symbol will change over, and the butterfly comes out of the cocoon, begins to spread his wings, and begins to fly. And so that kind of gives you the visualizations and the filings to look for along the way as SPACs are going through the process of becoming a blank check company, to finding the target and coming up with a definitive agreement, to then at some point voting and merging and the ticker symbol changing. And I get this question a lot, what's going to happen to if I buy it as a SPAC, what happens? The exchanges that you buy it on, it handles the conversion of the ticker symbol. You don't have to do anything with that. Anyway, I hope that's helped some of you all. Like I said, this one was long overdue. I've had lots of people ask me to break this down. There are other filings that can occur throughout the process. A lot of times it's like an 8K and a 10K and a 425. A lot of those are like generic stuff or announcements. As announcements come about, there's some generic type of filings that can occur. But these that I've stated here in the video are the big ones, the ones to look for, so that begin to set up, and you can anticipate that it's going to originally occur, and it's getting close to being finalized. So if it's providing you some value, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and also turn on the notification bell. And also consider joining my Patreon group, which is growing exponentially. Lots of great investors over there. It's a think tank type of a group where we're always discussing what's the best SPAC right now. Should we stay in this one? What do we think? We talk about the pipe size, what's going to happen during, should you hold pre-merger, post-merger. We kind of evaluate all the scenarios, right? So it's a really good group. If you want to join a great group of investors that are really, really SPAC oriented, this is a good one to join. So also be sure to, if you haven't already, picked up some free shares from WeBull or Mumu or some free cash right now. M1 Finance is giving away $30 if you sign up with a link like mine down in the description, and you fund your account with, I think, $1,000. So if you sign up and fund it with $1,000, you'll get $30. Otherwise, if you fund it with $100, you'll get $10. So those are some options for you and some free stuff for you if you're in the market for another broker or some play broker that you want to just test out. So that's all I got. Till next time, guys. Happy New Year. Deuces.